We are going to another episode of HardFoul Radio. Appreciate everybody for tuning in today. This is the show that values time and puts God first. Appreciate you guys so much for being here. Excuse me. So let's get into it. So we have to start today with just the appreciation of how great a basketball we saw last night. Last night was one of the best nights of basketball we've seen in a long, long time. I know Celtics fans don't want to hear that, but last night was just an incredible between the Celtics Knicks game one and Nuggets OKC game one. Just some incredible basketball all night. As a fan of the sport, if you don't love nights like last night, I just don't think you like the game of basketball. That simple. You don't love what we saw last night from some of the best players, some of the best teams. This is why the playoffs are the playoffs. Best teams, best players. It's so fun to watch. Lots of love, okay? So, let's start with this. OKC Denver. Now, OKC, I think, is clearly the best team. I think OKC is deeper than Denver. I think OKC, top to bottom, is better than Denver. The coach mismatch, I think, is there in OKC's favor. This is why I keep talking about how incredible Jokic is, because there's no reason Denver should be in this series. OKC has a better coach. OKC has a better bench. OKC has the MVP. OKC has top to bottom the better roster. OKC is the better defensive team. OKC shoots better. Denver is, and you saw it last night, Nikola Jokic, 40-plus points, 20-plus rebounds, getting his teammates involved. He is just a force unto himself. And when I discuss the all-time great players, this is what they can do. When they have no business being in the series, when they have no business their team being where they're at, this is very reminiscent of those LeBron Cleveland teams who were never, quote-unquote, finals teams, but LeBron could drag them to the finals. This is, again, go look at the numbers. I'm not trying to start up debates here. Look at what Jordan did as far as scoring, his scoring versus the rest of his teammates scoring. Look where he got his teams. Look at Magic's the one that you would say, okay, well, he had Kareem, so he never really played without another all-time great talent. But this is what the all-time great players can do. Jokic is dragging a team that should not be here. Because besides him, where's the edge? What do they do better than OKC that should dictate, oh, they're clearly up 1-0 in this series, or they should clearly win this series, or realistically this series should even be competitive? What do they do besides employ Nikola Jokic? So his greatness right now is single-handedly carrying this Nuggets team. Again, I said this when I came into the playoffs. My prediction on both sides of the bracket. Now, I don't have the Nuggets going to the title, but I said him, Giannis, both have a chance to move themselves up an all-time ladder if they can take these clearly not finals-ready teams and get them there. Obviously, Giannis, that didn't work out. That, fell out after the first round is what it is. But Jokic to be not only get his team through a game 7 that he just played 2 days ago, and then to come back on game 1 and give you that kind of performance, again, ask yourselves, what does Denver do better than OKC? Because it's not shooting, it's not defense, it's not depth. And again, Jokic is clearly the better player, but OKC has the MVP in SGA. And I'm just watching that game, and it's the whole time they're down 8, they're down 10. They get within 3. OKC pushes up to 8, pushes back up to 10. And it just felt like that was the entire flow of the game. And they get to the fourth quarter, and Jokic is just imposing his will, forcing what he wants on OKC. He's getting to the free throw line. They're getting switches. He's got smaller guys. He's backing them down, getting inside the paint. He's hitting threes. He's doing everything you can possibly do to win that game, with maybe his only mistakes being missing a handful of free throws in the fourth quarter. So his dominance, his greatness, the only reason the Nuggets are in this series. Now, do I think they could beat OKC? I'm not going to put anything past him. I'm not going to say that he can't have an all-time series and that he can't will the Nuggets past the Thunder. Do I think they're better than the Thunder? Absolutely not. And I think that's going to be really evident. I think you're going to see a lot of these games where I think game 2, I think the Thunder, not a gambling man, but I think the Thunder are going to boat race them. So whatever the spread is for that game, you put your money, you bet mortgage, you bet on the Thunder. The Thunder are going to boat race them in game 2. They're going to be motivated. They're going to be pissed off they lost in the way they did. And they're going to show, and it's going to be very clear and evident that they are the better team, top to bottom. Better shooters, better defense, all that stuff. I think they're going to boat race them in game 2. But then game 3 through game 7 potentially, I think if Jokic has 3 more of these in him, which he's unique, right? Jokic no one would call a great athlete. He doesn't look the part of your standard great athletic physique. But go look at his career. He has a handful of these where he can put on these 40, 45 minutes in the playoffs, and he never looks... There's the one meme of him looking exhausted, but he never looks like he's incapable of doing this. When they ask him to put on heavier minutes, when they ask him to put on, when they're requiring this much out of him to run the offense, to be the force that he is. And I also want to say this about him. This idea that, and everyone's got their own interest, everyone has their own life outside of what they do, so I don't hold this against him. But this is just nice to see. We want to see our athletes care. These guys are multimillionaires. They got $100 million in the bank. And sometimes they do, which is their right. It looks like this is their job. Sometimes they look a little detached. They don't look as intense. We want to see our athletes look like this matters. Because as fans, what fan is short for fanatics, we're crazy. We're sitting in our living room, or we're sitting there at our house and we're screaming, or you're at a bar, or you're at a friend's house watching the game. You're screaming. Your emotions are getting your emotions are getting up there. You're excited. You're acting crazy in your own right. So we want to see these guys care. And what we're seeing with Jokic this postseason, you can see that he cares. We're seeing him in the huddle. He's screaming at guys. He's getting on guys. He's saying, hey, man, this matters. We've seen some of the quotes that have come out saying if you're not excited or you can't get yourself motivated at this time of the year to play basketball, then you don't really love basketball. And again, the thing around Jokic, one of the consistent storylines, and he's earned it because it's the way that he has acted. He's not really into it. Oh, he's more into horses than basketball. Oh, basketball's his second job. Basketball's his second love. You are starting to see, especially in this playoff run and towards the end of the regular season, he absolutely cares. He's absolutely motivated. And he is such an all-time great player, such an all-time great force that he might single-handedly will this team, which is they are clearly not the better team in this series, and he might just will them to winning this series against the Oklahoma City Thunder. So shout out to Nikola Jokic, shout out to the great night of basketball. Yes, Aaron Gordon hit the game-winning 3, but that game was won because of the best basketball player in the world, Nikola Jokic. Moving on from Nikola Jokic, now, I'm not someone who believes that just because you're going to hear this throughout the next couple of weeks, every team that loses, well, what do they need to do to win a championship? And you're going to hear every bad take. You're going to hear every bad trade scenario. You are going to hear everything that is just wrong with sports. So I'll take two young teams, right? The Detroit Pistons and the Houston Rockets. And all everyone's talking about now is who do you need to trade for to get to that next step? Do you go get, if you're Houston, we've heard Kevin Durant, we've heard Giannis. Detroit, who should you go trade for? Who do you want to pair up with Cade? Listen, the Phoenix Suns and the Brooklyn Nets are perfect examples of real-time NBA teams that had built a culture, had built a core of players, and then decided, because of a playoff run that didn't go as far as they would have liked, pressed the button and said, let's go get a star. Let's trade away our culture. Let's trade away our depth. Let's trade away our role players. And let's go in big for the star. And look where both of those teams are now. The Nets, lack of draft picks, lack of culture, and a lack of stars. The Phoenix Suns, plenty of stars, but no culture, no coach, no playoffs, no lottery pick. And they're both, right now, if you were to say who are your top 10 dysfunctional franchises in the NBA, they're making the list. And they're going to be real high on the list. Don't try to rush the process. If you're Houston, you didn't get here by forcing stars onto this team. You're Detroit. You didn't get here by forcing stars onto this team. What is, and I love Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant is one of the greatest players I've ever seen with my own eyes. Kevin Durant's not your answer. Kevin Durant is not your hero. Kevin Durant is not your savior. What is your savior is that you have shown as a franchise to be able to draft, develop, coach, get a culture. Why blow that all up for Kevin Durant? And that's with Kevin Durant, great player. Still, at his age, amazing player. I said this, Tony and Will pushed back on me. Giannis, one of the best players in the history of the game. I wouldn't do it for Giannis either. Don't try to microwave this process. I'm a Pelicans fan. I saw it with Anthony Davis. He was so good early, the Pelicans tried to microwave the process of how good or how great can we get, because we saw this guy be great by the end of year one. That they went out and got Drew Holiday. They went out, signed Ryan Anderson, traded away all these draft picks. They tried to microwave the process. They didn't want to sit there and let it cook. Houston, you have a culture. You have your guys. Just adding Kevin Durant isn't going to fix it. Trading away your draft picks ain't going to fix it. You've got Thompson. You've got your free agent signings in Van Fleet and Dylan Brooks, who bring that veteran, that tough guy, the leadership, and some scoring in Van Vliet. You've got Thompson. You got Jalen Green. You got Sengun. Why blow up what you have? You were the 2 seed. Kevin Durant missed the playoffs. Giannis was out in the first round. You know who didn't try to cheat the process or try to microwave the process? The Boston Celtics, the Oklahoma City Thunder. Yeah, they signed free agents, but their free agents are Isaiah Hartenstein, a big, not a Kevin Durant or a Giannis or trying to inject a star. The Boston Celtics, Tatum, Brown. Yeah, they signed Drew Holiday or traded for Drew Holiday, but they got him on a trade that did not require them to give up a lot. Same with Kristaps. Same with Derek White. They didn't make these. Now, they look like big moves now because they've had the results, but they weren't there trading, when everyone's saying, oh, when LeBron was beating them during his end of his second tenure in Cleveland, and everybody's saying trade either Tatum or Brown, you don't need both, try to get another star to pair with them. They didn't listen. They didn't trade away their culture. They didn't trade away their best players. They didn't trade away their young guys to try to get a superstar in right away. And guess who's the 2 best teams in the NBA? The defending champion Boston Celtics and the 68-win juggernaut that is the Thunder. If you already have your role players, your young players, your potential stars, your culture, your coach, don't try to microwave it by forcing Kevin Durant in or forcing Giannis Antetokounmpo in. And Durant and Giannis are great. And Giannis, I'm probably going to get more pushback on because Giannis is 30. And so the idea that he is still going to be this super high-end level impact all-NBA MVP guy, obviously much longer than Durant. Teams are going to obviously talk themselves into that. But if I'm Houston or Detroit, keep my team the way it is. Don't microwave it. You'll get there on your own time. I promise you.